1. Structure and flow of the discussion. The conversation unfolds in a way that feels organic and unscripted. It moves between different topics fluidly, which makes it engaging for listeners who enjoy spontaneous and dynamic discussions. However, this structure also makes it somewhat fragmented. Key transitions include introduction with banter. The early part of the text features a light-hearted exchange, particularly around the Midwest Michelle versus Mafia Michelle persona. This portion sets a casual, personality-driven tone before transitioning into more substantive sports talk. Summary of prior discussions. The hosts briefly recap what listeners might have missed in previous segments using humor and references to pop culture. This serves as an attempt to keep the audience engaged and encourage them to revisit past content. Main discussion on Sam Darnold and the Vikings. This segment is the most detailed, delving into the financial, strategic, and performance-related aspects of Darnold's tenure with the Vikings. Different perspectives are presented regarding whether Minnesota should retain him or move on. Exploration of potential destinations. The conversation explores alternative teams that might be interested in Darnold, weighing the appeal of Minnesota versus other potential suitors. Closing speculation and counterarguments. The discussion rounds out with a more speculative tone, considering possible contract offers and the implications of quarterback stability in different franchises. While the discussion is engaging, the transitions between sections could have been smoother. At times, the casual nature of the conversation results in abrupt topic shifts. 2. Depth of analysis on Sam Darnold's future. The discussion on Sam Darnold is well-rounded and presents multiple perspectives. The key points analyzed include performance analysis. The hosts acknowledge that Darnold had his best statistical season with 300-plus yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. They highlight his struggles in the final 2 games of the season, particularly against the Lions and Rams, which cast doubt on whether he can perform under high-pressure situations. There is debate over whether his breakout year was an aberration or a sign that he has finally reached his potential in the right system. Contract and cap considerations. The idea of a franchise tag, $40 million cap hit, is deemed an unattractive option for the Vikings due to salary cap constraints. A 2-year deal is proposed as a more viable solution, allowing flexibility while developing J.J. McCarthy. The discussion also considers the possibility of a tag and trade scenario, where the Vikings franchise tag Darnold, but trade him to another team for draft picks. Minnesota's dilemma. The Vikings must balance short-term competitiveness with the long-term development of J.J. McCarthy. Trust in Kevin O'Connell's ability to develop quarterbacks plays a role in whether the team should move on from Darnold. The conversation raises the question of whether Minnesota should stick with what has worked or take a gamble on McCarthy's upside. Darnold's perspective. The discussion acknowledges that Minnesota has been the best situation for Darnold's career, and leaving for a different team carries risks. However, there is consideration of whether other teams, like the Rams, 49ers, or Steelers, might provide an equally appealing destination. The idea of financial security versus playing stability is debated, as Darnold might receive a better long-term contract elsewhere. 3. Effectiveness of the conversational style. The discussion maintains an engaging tone, largely due to use of humor and pop culture references, e.g., Jewish Bobby Brown, back that thing up. Casual, unscripted nature that makes the dialogue feel authentic. Frequent back-and-forth exchanges that create a dynamic rhythm. However, there are some downsides. The lack of clear structure makes certain parts feel disjointed. Some inside jokes or tangents might alienate listeners who are not familiar with prior discussions. The analysis, while deep, occasionally gets derailed by unrelated asides. Overall, the conversational tone works well for an audience that enjoys personality-driven sports talk, but may not be ideal for those seeking a more structured and analytical discussion. For potential improvements, better organization, The discussion could benefit from clearer segmentation, breaking it into defined parts such as performance review, contract implications, and potential destinations. More seamless transitions between lighthearted banter and serious analysis would improve the flow. More depth on alternative teams. While the conversation touched on other potential destinations for Darnold, there could have been more exploration of each team's quarterback situation and why they might or might not pursue him. Comparisons to other quarterbacks in similar situations, e.g. Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, could have provided useful context. Addressing the risk of overcommitting to Darnold. The discussion briefly considers whether Darnold's performance was an outlier, but does not fully explore the historical patterns of inconsistent quarterbacks who had one great season. A deeper dive into why Darnold succeeded in Minnesota compared to his struggles in New York and Carolina would add valuable insight. Final verdict. The discussion successfully blends entertainment and sports analysis, making it engaging for casual listeners. The conversation's strengths lie in its humor, multiple viewpoints, and thought-provoking questions. However, its weaknesses include occasional lack of structure, tangential asides, and missed opportunities for deeper analysis in certain areas. If the goal is to entertain and engage, the discussion achieves its purpose well. However, if the aim is in-depth, structured analysis, it could be refined with clearer transitions, better organization, and deeper statistical/contextual breakdowns. Would I recommend this style for a general sports talk audience? Absolutely. It keeps listeners engaged with humor and an easygoing tone. Would I recommend it for someone looking for a structured, high-level football analysis? Not as much. There are stronger, more data-driven alternatives for that.